Okay, so let's talk about the state of the East African jobless economies. My name is Anyana Bulungu,
And mine is Wangeshi Karemi.
and we are Speak Up Africa. This is the Speak Up Africa podcast, and this is episode one.
Mhm.
So expect a lot more. And just before you continue listening in, remember to follow us across our social media platforms at Speak Up Africa.
Africa with a K.
Yes, for sure. So, Angeshi,
Mhm.
let's talk about the jobless economies.
So the state of East African jobless economies.
Yeah.
Why are we calling East African economies jobless?
Because the majority of the East African population are the youth,
Mhm.
and more than 50% of the youth, which is majority, are jobless. So if the majority of the majority are
Yeah,
jobless,
the majority of the majority.
then that means we are jobless.
Yes,
We are really, really
we
jobless.
are a jobless economy. All right, so I think let's break it down. Let's
Yeah.
break it down for our audience. Let's try and understand what makes our economies so low.
Mm.
And as we have unemployment as our biggest issue, what is the hindrance? What are the effects of the economic development in East Africa?
So one, why are the majority jobless? I just want to say that growing up, most of us were told in East Africa as a whole, we were
Mm-hmm.
told education is the key to
The
success.
key.
And we were told, go to school, get an education, then get
Yeah.
a job.
Uh-huh.
And then we grew up and the key to success changed.
Yeah.
So people are still applying for jobs in offices and their
Mm-hmm.
offices are full.
Mm-hmm.
So then we are waiting to be employed,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the people are not focusing on getting themselves into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I part of it is not their problem or
Mm-hmm.
our problem rather, because I mean, how can you start a job, start a business without capital? So we
Yes.
are depending on employment to be able
Mm-hmm.
to get capital to be able to start our jobs. Our businesses. I don't know why I keep saying jobs. Our businesses. And so then that becomes a problem, and which just makes me wonder, the older generation, which is a little bit younger when we're kids, kept telling us, the youth are the are the leaders of
That's
tomorrow.
because they were the leaders. And at the time, the youths were actually the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah, but now the problem is now they are really really holding on to that, and they don't want to leave it for the younger generation, and so then it becomes a problem, because now when will they be leaders? When they're older, when they're really old, like,
Yeah.
at what point?
At what point are we taking over? Because you're still sitting on those positions.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I was reading an article and it was saying that
yeah.
there's a job advertisement by the East African community,
Mhm.
and they wanted 41 people, or 41
Mhm.
vacancies.
Mhm.
More than 10,000 people
Yeah.
sent applications.
Oh my gosh, I saw that. I
Yeah,
saw that. I saw
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, I did.
What?
And I think it's very alarming, and it begs the question, so how many people really really want this job?
Yeah,
Because to be honest, if you don't want, you won't apply. So
exactly.
10,000 people are looking for that one job. So imagine how many jobs out there. More than 10,000 people are applying, and they're only looking for like five or what,
Yeah,
you know.
it's sad.
Mm,
Everyone in 20 Kenyans
mhm.
is unemployed. Everyone in 5 Tanzanians, sorry, is unemployed. Those rates are pretty high.
I think they
It
are.
is for that reason that we actually have to call that economy jobless.
Yeah, we do.
So, what are these factors that are hindering our economic development? What is making us not get to where we want to go economically?
The elephant in the room, corruption.
Ah,
Yeah.
you said it. It's like you
Yeah,
read my
corruption.
mind.
Corruption. If the money that is meant to help us is being stolen by a few people,
Hmm.
and therefore benefiting a few people, so then
Hmm.
when is the larger population going to benefit?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's meant to work for us. It's meant to save our own economy. So you find that, for example, the borrowing rate of East African countries, and let me just particularly address Kenya, because in the
Well,
past in
yeah.
the past 10 years we've borrowed
We
a
have borrowed a
lot. So
lot.
then we have a lot of debt hanging on our heads, even for unborn children. But then we want our economy to grow, and then when we borrow that money, it's stolen. So then we have a big problem, you see. So
Yeah. It
it's
becomes,
just,
like the debt increased from like something like 16 billion to 70 something billion.
yeah.
That
Mm.
from, was it 2013 or 2016? That is a lot
2013,
of,
I
that
think,
is a lot
of
of
money.
money. And
It's
who is paying this money back? It's us.
yeah.
It's our children.
Mm-hmm.
And to an extent, it's their children.
Yeah.
So they're leaving all of this debt onto us.
Mm.
I was also reading about Tanzania. They borrowed last year from the International Monetary Fund,
Mhm.
and then less than an year later, they had to borrow again. And the biggest problem with borrowing is that they are not putting this money on investments that are assets. That they're
Mm.
putting this money on liabilities.
Mhm.
I'm going to give an instance, and this one is going to be so controversial. The Standard Gauge
Okay.
Railway,
Mhm.
is it paying itself back? How much billions did we spend? Tanzanians and Kenyans, like,
No,
tell
no,
us, do
no,
you
no,
think
no,
it's
no,
paying
no, no, no.
itself back?
Genuinely, I think it will, but it's going to take a
It's
hot
going to.
minute. Yeah, and if you look at it, for example, I believe it's Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
They also borrowed money for an SGR, But if you look at how much Kenya borrowed, against the distance
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
being covered,
Yeah. Mhm.
someone needs to tell us something.
Yeah, something is not making sense. Something's not
Yeah.
adding up.
Yeah,
Something's not adding up.
someone needs to tell us something, because like I said, this is debt that is hanging on our shoulders.
Yes. I
It's a
think
very
the
big
biggest
problem.
problem is that when the East Africans were borrowing, which is something that has been done before, when East
I
Africa
mean, a
was
lot of countries
borrowing,
borrow. It's not.
yeah.
It's,
Actually, I was reading that the economy of South Korea was built with borrowing.
yes,
It
it
was built
was.
with
Yes,
borrowing.
it was. And our outgoing president said that. I don't know if you listened to the
Yeah, I
Madaraka Day
did. To
speech.
his,
Yeah, it
well,
was
it was not.
Madaraka Day.
Yeah,
And he was like, you see, it's not bad that we are borrowing, because the problem only comes in when you borrow and you steal the money
you
and you
can't.
don't use it for investments. But I'm not sure if I agree with that, because we have a very long history of corruption, and we're coming nothing close to getting rid of that problem. So this is going to be very persistent, and it's going to be here with us for a very long time.
Hmm. So
So
do we
this,
not
yeah,
borrow?
this I mean, we also need to look at what we can do for ourselves within the
Yeah,
region
within the region, yes.
yeah, because for example, I mean, it's a pity that we export some of agricultural produce,
Hmm.
and then we have to import the final product, and we import it for sometimes even like twice, thrice
Hmm.
the amount of money that we sold it out for, so
Because
we're
we
not
don't
helping
have like
ourselves.
the process.
Why wouldn't we just process it in the country?
Yeah, why can't we just manufacture it from here before we actually start selling it out there?
Yeah.
Something very simple as wool from
Mm.
goats. It goes out there and then it comes back to us, and now we have to buy it for like so much the
Mm.
price, and it's.
Even tea, coffee in the region. Yeah, I mean, it's like even fish. Did you know?
I did not.
Yes, even fish.
Fish.
Yeah,
So like, we
every
export
fish.
it, and then what do we get back?
The final products like the fillets and this processed fishes. I'm looking for the name.
Well, so that's bad.
Can't remember, but there's something.
It's really making
There
East
is
Africa
something.
like look bad. But one
No,
more
no,
thing,
we're just making a joke out of ourselves.
yeah,
Is what is
exactly.
happening.
That is true.
Yeah.
One more thing that actually we need to actually notice, it's not all East Africa's fault.
Mm-hmm.
The world actually went through a recession in 2020, the global recession,
Mm-hmm.
that actually made everything go haywire. The debt you borrowed, expecting that you will pay back this amount, but with the interest rates and the Western inflation and the global recession and everything, prices just went up, 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 and people want their money back. Because essentially what a global recession does is like the economic this things just start going down, pole,
Yeah, an economic deprivation.
yes, it just starts going down and people start losing their jobs. Everything just starts going down because, like when the economy is not going up, then of course the jobs are not there. So we don't have the source of jobs. It goes until to the point where people actually get broke. Big companies get broke and they can't move the market. It's
Mm-hmm.
a really big problem in East Africa.
No, I mean, the global recession was very much unexpected. No one could foresee we were going to have a global pandemic of that magnitude. You
Mm-hmm.
see, and so many countries, I mean, have suffered the economic effects. That's the biggest thing. It wasn't even. I feel like it was a big problem
Mm-hmm.
going through the pandemic and all, but I think it's an even bigger problem how we're going to recover to be able to recover financially.
Okay.
Yeah, because the first thing that happened, most people got retrenched from their jobs, and
Yes,
so
yes.
many
I got
companies,
retrenched
big
from
and
my job.
small,
Yeah.
suffered because I
Yeah.
mean there was no money flowing in.
Mm-hmm.
Money was only leaving your pockets, for lack of a better way to put it. It was only leaving your pockets. So
Mm-hmm.
then, if it's just going and not coming, if you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
then there's no recycling happen. There's no improvement on your side rather. So then, I mean, everybody suffers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
because because I mean company, because no one foresaw it,
Mm-hmm.
and so all the working circumstances had to change. So you find the people who are working from their offices, the company is not equipped for people to be able to work from home, you
Yeah.
see. And because the company is also not making money, so then they have to retrench
Lay
people
off
because
people.
it's not making
Yeah.
financial sense to them.
Yeah.
And so even as the people, you have to suffer because then you don't have enough money to sustain the kind of lifestyle you're living. And look, if you think about it, there's a lot of bills to be paid. A lot.
There's a lot
You
of
pay for
things to
everything.
do, and then there's
If
the high, like the dependency rate
hmm
in East Africa, seeing as like most of the youths are unemployed, so like they depend on someone who depends on another person, and it's a whole line of people.
hmm
And you see, that anchor in the big city is not always going to meet your needs, because they also have to like have cutoffs.
yeah.
We have like them getting laid off, and things like that. It becomes a whole issue in the whole region, and it becomes
Yeah.
an economic issue
Mhm.
to the whole people.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you see, if, like I said, the majority are unemployed,
Yeah.
or rather, they don't have sources of income.
Yeah.
So then the majority is depending on the minority
To
who are,
provide. Yeah.
yes, exactly, to provide, which means that probably among 10, two or one is providing, is the only one
Mm-hmm.
providing. And then that also means that the younger population is depending on the older population. And we are a very youthful region because, like I said, the majority of the population are the youth. So then if us guys, the majority, don't have a source of income, it means we're depending on the older generation who have a source of income, or the few among us
Mm-hmm.
who have
Who
a
have a
source of
source of
income.
income? Yeah.
So remember, this person does not only have you as their responsibility, they have their life as
Yeah.
well going
Yeah.
on. You
Mm-hmm.
see? So then they have to pay their bills and also in some way pay your bills. So the dependency rate becomes becomes so high. And you find that this is an effect of unemployment.
Yeah.
And because you're depending on somebody else, and then sometimes they can always just cut you off at any point and be like, yo, you're a grown up, figure things
Such
out
a
for yourself,
suffice.
provide for yourself.
And that's when like mental health issues start to kick in. Yeah.
Mental health is one, and
Mm-hmm.
crime rate,
Yeah.
that's another
That's
thing.
another thing.
People
It's
are
like,
robbing. In fact, in Kenya, in Nairobi, if you're walking in town and you use your phone, that's your problem.
yes.
That's your mistake.
You should have known. You should have
Yeah,
known.
you'll get
Someone
mugged.
is hustling. Someone is trying to make a living, and you're here showing off.
Yeah, they're making a living out of your living.
Yeah.
You who is
Dependency.
depending on someone
Dependency.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a big problem. It's really, really bad. And if these people had some sort of source of income, they wouldn't be stealing, they wouldn't be committing all these crimes. People are getting attacked left. You don't feel safe walking around.
You don't. And that becomes a big issue within the region.
Mhm.
But let's talk about it. So I have been listening to talks and conversations outside there, and they're saying that East Africa is actually becoming an economic giant.
It
And I am
is.
wondering, because I'm in East Africa and I'm not seeing the economic giant. So I was actually looking into it, and I was
Because we're
thinking,
not the only ones who are suffering.
yeah, we're not okay. The middle class and the lower class actually suffering, but we have the competitive market is not there. There's lack of competitive markets. We have people that are mobilizing, that are chasing, that are on top there. They are alone on
Mm.
top there. I'm going to give an example from the country Kenya. KPLC.
Mhm.
KPLC.
No, I think they just they want to maintain a monopoly power,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you sit back and ask yourself, who are KPLC competing against?
Nobody. Nobody.
Yeah.
And here's the problem.
No, no, no,
When you
no, no,
don't
no,
have like
no, 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 not nobody. They're competing against candle,
yeah,
candles,
I was
you know,
wondering what is candle
candles, candles,
mnemonic for.
this how do you call them? These lamps that use
Yeah, I get that. Even
is it
solar
petrol?
power
Is it diesel? Yeah,
and
like
all of
those are
that.
their competitors.
But they're not really competitors. When you look at the aspect of competitive markets, they're
Mm.
not competitors at
I mean,
all.
they're not.
They're not.
Mhm.
KPLC stands alone. And the biggest problem about the lack of a competitive market
Mm.
is always the fact that you can't improve. Why are you improving? You know, if you don't have competition, you won't improve. Let's give, for instance, if you're selling nail polish, if you're the only person selling nail polish, people will buy from you because they have nowhere else to get it from. But in the event that I come up with a nail polish line, Now I provide competition. And then I make it worse and I bring out someone with glitter,
Mhm.
And then now you have to improve. And that
Mm.
is just the beauty of competitive markets. You always have to go up and up and up against your competitor.
Mm.
But the lack of competitive markets in East Africa is actually an issue that is actually inhibiting economic growth because we have the big leagues over there moving at their own speed. No one is chasing them, no one is telling them move like this and like that.
Mm.
They take over.
But also uh, getting to that point where you're a big league is not it's not an easy task.
Well,
So
unless you're
there's people who I'm
government.
sure there's people in a lot of fields. There's people who are trying. There's companies which are trying, but then getting there is what is not easy. So I mean, it's just keep on pushing, which just makes me wanna say this. I also feel like as the youth, and I
Mhm.
might get stones thrown at me for saying this, but we are not aggressive enough when it comes to some things.
Mhm.
Let's just call it what it is. We're not as aggressive when it comes to a lot of things, and that's why we're sitting and we're waiting to be employed, and we're applying 10,000 of us, waiting
For
for a
for
for a
41
job that wants
vacancy.
only 41 people,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So because if you look at it, we are an agricultural giant as a region,
Hmm.
but we are being too comfortable. We don't explore that because we are waiting for white collar jobs,
Yeah.
and that becomes a
We don't
problem.
want to go back to the farm.
We
I
don't
really think
want
that is something
to.
important. And there's a lot of mobilization that has been going around. Yeah,
Mhm.
go back to the farm. Actually, the young people need to actually use because they have the knowledge. They
Mm.
took classes in agriculture. They took classes in one, two, three
Did
things.
they? I
Yeah.
didn't. I know I didn't.
But we have a good
But
number that actually do this in high
yeah.
school and both in high school and in campus. So the idea when there's a time when agribusiness was a very popular course, and the reason people are doing it was because they had companies that were hiring, companies that used to go around and teach farmers. So they wanted the white collar job. They want to be going around to teach instead of
Mm,
actually practicing these things by themselves. That
mm,
is the problem with the youths today. Our education system, especially in East Africa region, we have been structured to think that we actually want you finish and you have to get to give someone some sort of service in the form of employment rather than actually provide, like you said before,
mm,
rather than actually become an entrepreneur yourself. You end up hoping that you become employed by someone, which is
mhm.
a big problem because I mean the employments are not there.
You see why I was saying we're not aggressive? It's because sometimes it's the longer road to success.
No.
Um, because one, you need capital to be able to do your own thing, to
Mm-hmm.
start your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't need the capital, you need labor. You need to put in as much time and as much effort as you possibly can. But again, it's the longer road. Nobody wants to take that longer road because we also want it easy. And now I'm not calling us lazy. We're not lazy, but we're just not aggressive
You're not
enough.
pushing and
We're
pushing and
not
not
pushing
pushing.
enough.
Tell me, what is your take on the rapid population growth that has been going on in East Africa
Do you
and in
know
Africa in general?
unpopular opinion? I think I think
So
in
both get
like
the stones thrown at you. Mm-hmm.
unpopular opinion, I think in about like 2 decades, we're going to have actually a negative population growth. People are avoiding giving birth right now. we
Well, we
are,
are unemployed. We are the jobless economy. Where are you getting the money to start raising? But here's the funniest.
because it's not easy. But you see, in the past as well, we are a lot of youths now, and the older generation is a bit population wise is less as compared to us guys,
Mhm.
but they are the people who gave birth to us. And at the time when they were in their youthful years, you find that it was easy, not easy, but easier. If you had a farm, if you had cattle, if
Mhm.
if you could provide a meal
Yeah,
for
just
your
a
family,
meal and a
then
roof over your head.
yeah, you're
You're
accomplished. You
sorted.
can sort your family
Yeah.
out. But now, who wants to give birth? Because it's not easy. It's
Actually think, like you said, that's an
the
unpopular
bills are
opinion.
actually
People are
a
actually still
lot.
giving birth despite the fact that we are a jobless economy.
No, no, I don't think
People don't
so.
want, we don't want to get there until we are stable enough. But there are people who actually are getting there. You see, the problem
But
of
what's the average
joblessness,
of like the number of kids that people are getting now?
two,
Everybody
three,
doesn't want exactly 2, 3, and in our days we, hey,
17.
hey,
I saw a meme
yo,
that went like, Mimi Kwetu, we are 17, and I'm the only one who's employed. So can you
right?
confuse? You're confusing a whole village.
Yeah, look
Oh,
at that
that is
dependency
sad.
ratio, man.
That is
Yeah,
really sad. But the idea of when the population is like the way it is in East Africa, it is impossible for the government to actually increase the expenditure per capita.
Mm.
So it becomes a problem because they can't now translate these things to good health, the universal healthcare things and things
Mhm.
like that because the population is like super super high.
No, but how come they always get money to steal here and there, to grab here and there? We always have
Corruption culture.
we always have cases of corruption every other time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the region, every other time, a lot. Yeah. So and then the government in also has a very big part to play. They don't want to give us opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at the people, the leadership in the region, in the East African region. You
Mm-hmm.
find that the average age is like over 50.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but so when do they expect us to get those chances if you keep on employing older and older and older people every other time?
But where are they going
So
to
where
go?
should we go?
Where are the older people going to go?
What do you mean where they're going to go? It's time for them to rest.
To like retire, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Just
And
yeah,
what are they
retire,
going to
go
eat when they
home.
retire?
Now the dependency, kind of structure will change.
It changes to the young
Yeah,
people.
changes to the young.
Do you think the
And
young people?
especially because now you see the cycle is going to continue
Mm-hmm.
because then we don't have that opportunity now. We're gonna get that opportunity probably when
You're 40.
when they rest, like rest,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when they leave us. That's
Mm-hmm.
when we're going to get those opportunities open. So that means that we will also, the younger generation at the time will also be saying, hey, old people need to rest and we need
Mm-hmm.
to get a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just go and rest. Let it always be the younger people. And then this is the thing: when you're working, you need to be thinking about pension. So when you're older, you don't have to keep saying, "Oh my God, when I get old,
How
I
many people
won't
do you
get
think
a place
actually
to."
have pension? Have you started saving up for your pension?
You are. I'm a child.
It is. It is still here. We are discussing the state of the East African jobless economies,
Mm,
and we are asking,
mm.
have you started saving up for your pension?
Have you?
Have you started saving up for your pension? Please let us know on the social media platforms that we're engaging you at.
Mhm.
Anyona, have you?
And remember to visit our website,
Yeah.
speakupafrica.net, speakupafrica.net, K.
Okay, Africa with a
Africa with
K.
a K.
Have you started saving
Yeah.
up for your pension?
No, I haven't. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't.
I think that's the problem. Most of us
Mhm,
haven't. The ones
mhm.
that know, and the ones that have not and wanted to
Do you know
probably
genuinely?
didn't
I
know.
think though there's not enough information about it.
Yeah,
There's not
I
enough
agree. Actually, I
awareness
agree.
about it. Yeah. And if you think about it, you see, we're being told to start saving for our pension now and get into some sort of a pension scheme. But us guys are being told now, if you just clearly look at the matter for the older generation, they're also being told pretty much now,
Yeah,
so they didn't have that chance.
they
But
didn't
that
have that
that does not
information.
change the fact that I want them to go and rest.
You need to pack and go home. Like
Rest.
yesterday.
Imagine go and rest. You need
Um,
it.
I don't know. I feel like if you tell them that, it won't be fair because where are they going to get the
What do you mean it
money?
wouldn't be fair? So you were saying it's fair for the young
That's
people to just
I am
struggle
saying
because
if
of
people, if you're the breadwinner of your home and you're the one making that money and you don't have like pension or you can just retire comfortably and people are depending on you, I keep that
so
job.
why shouldn't the breadwinner be a younger person? Why do you
Ah,
think you need to be the breadwinner till your death? Then people now have to start figuring things out
looking for a
when
job
you're
at your
gone.
90s.
Yeah.
That's sad. That is absolutely sad. So what do you think the retirement age should be just as a by
60. Period.
Hey,
Point
60
blank.
people are young.
Should they go and farm? That's what people do. They go back to the village. You go and farm.
Why can't the young people go farm?
Because they want to explore those opportunities. That's other opportunities now. You see, the older people, when we say go and farm, we don't mean go grab a djembe, go grab a hoe and start digging. We
Mm-hmm.
mean you go and supervise, go in your house and be like, I need that and that plant. In fact, those people understand agriculture more than we do.
Maybe they don't have an
Facts.
option. I mean, they're retired. Well, let's
You
just
see, your farm is not retiring.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to just be there. You go deal with that.
Plus this older generation, most of them have lands, and the younger people don't
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
have.
we are
this that
working
point.
towards buying that.
We are working towards buying.
So
And so
yeah, so
go
let us.
farm.
Yeah,
That
just
Anyona say go farm.
yeah, go and farm.
Go and farm. All right. Let's go back to the debt issue.
Mhm.
Do you think that the money we are borrowing for our projects is self-sufficient?
First of all, do you know we like to blame the government so much for borrowing? I mean, I still will blame them for borrowing.
We will.
But
You are
we
still
borrow so
borrowing.
much as a region, we do.
Uh-huh.
But now let's just it
Let's
trickles
narrow
down
down
to
to
people.
individuals. Yes, yes. That
Man,
is a
man, we
topic.
borrow a lot. If you look at the number of money lending apps that are there
There are
now,
so many,
they
and
think
every
it's a
single
good
time.
business opportunity
Yeah.
because they know we are going to borrow.
Yes. And the interest rates were out of this wild.
Crazy is the word for it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy is wild. You see, like for instance, I was going through YouTube, and you know
Mhm.
those ads that keep coming.
Mm-hmm.
All of them, money lending up,
Yeah,
money lending
yeah, I
up.
get that a lot as
One after
well.
another,
Mm.
one after another. The question is, how many people have actually
Do you know this
invested
is
in
a
this?
trap? This is a trap.
Only all of us end up in debts, and we don't have
This is a
jobs.
trap.
What happens?
Initially, it was just banks that loan money, and you have
Mhm.
to have some sort of collateral. You know,
Yeah,
if you're
and
not able to pay, we're grabbing your land, we're grabbing your farm or whatever. But now
so
you were just
easy
borrowing. You know,
on your
in the palm of your
phone. Yeah,
yeah.
mbio mbio, and you have your money
Fingertip, you
there.
have it in your palm. Anytime you want to borrow, you just borrow. But then the problem is you're accumulating so much debt so that it at the point when you get money,
Mm-hmm.
it's just all going.
Yeah.
So now then you have nothing,
Now you
and
have
then you have to
nothing.
borrow again, and
And
you have to keep borrowing.
you have to
And every
borrow so
time
that
you
you can pay
pay,
and
there's an
borrow.
interest. So
Very high one.
it's a trap. It's a trap. We now even I mean, this is getting me so worked up because even when it comes to buying things,
Mm-hmm.
people are like, yeah, you know, we have a long term payment plan. You can just pay this much
The
this
higher
month,
purchase
and
price.
then yeah, and then you will pay later for the next 6 months. Higher purchase. It's happening all over the place. Even your phone, you can buy your phone, you know, with some sort of higher purchase plan.
Lipam
You
dogo
can buy
mdogo
your
plans.
shoes. Exactly. You can buy your bag, every single thing. It's a trap.
It's a trap
It's a trap.
because you keep giving that money, and you give like triple.
Yeah.
It gets even
But
triple.
by the
But
time you're
because
paying, yeah, it's
that's
a
the
lot of
problem.
money. It's a lot of money. So it's not so just a regional problem is trickles down to an individual. It's also an individual problem. But the fact that we are feeling like we need to borrow is also a red flag
But we don't have
because there's no money.
money.
That's the thing.
So we're in a East African jobless economy. Let's
Yeah.
start there. And
Yeah.
then now, as individuals, we have to keep borrowing because we don't have enough.
Because we don't have.
And then we have to borrow to pay.
Mhm.
And then we have to go to the lipam dogo mdogo, you know, higher purchase price funds.
Yeah.
And then now we anticipate that our government is going to be self-sufficient, and yet we are the same people with the same mindsets when we get into governance.
No, this is the difference. This is where I like to argue.
maybe it's different
my
because you're
if I am borrowing, I'm getting my loan. It's my loan. I made that decision. I'm the one who's gonna pay for it. But if you make decisions for all of us, you know you've been placed at a position where you need to make decisions for all of us,
Mhm.
and then you decide, oh my gosh, I will just borrow. I will keep borrowing day and night, and then it's the people who have to pay, all of us. Yeah, for a project that probably won't even benefit us as the individuals who need to be paying for it.
But
It's a real problem.
but by the end of the day, it is important for us to actually note that this borrowing culture is in almost all of us. And
But
you
you
see,
know-
by then right now you're in charge of yourself. So when you borrow, the guilt is not on you. But say you had like kids that had to eat. That's an instance. When you borrow, you're borrowing for their benefit. That is the same mindset that is in the people in governance. That when we are borrowing, we're borrowing
Except-
for them.
Except the them in this statement
It's
will not
them.
benefit probably.
Because you're going to dish it out before it gets to
and then you get the money, and then all of a sudden we are hearing some corruption
Saga.
scandals all over the place. You know, that's a big problem. Oh, this reminds me something that I saw, that in the East African countries apart from Tanzania, most of the unemployed people are women living in the rural areas. Now we know the youth are are unemployed.
The majority
are
as you
unemployed.
said.
But then also another statistic is that women, in rural areas, are highly unemployed.
That's
Except for Tanzania, where it's the opposite. Women in the urban areas are the ones who are more unemployed as compared to those in the rural areas.
I feel like
Interesting statistic, don't you think?
Yes, it's interesting, but I feel like when you're in the rural area,
Elia, yeah.
Mm.
Yes, Elia.
I am East African and I'm proud.
Yeah.
That let's just
We
start
accept you
good.
as you are.
But I feel like if you're in the rural area
Yeah.
and you just you're unemployed, it's because you do not have the like white collar jobs.
Let me tell
But you
you,
could have the blue collar jobs here and
I
there.
am also thinking it's a cultural thing that we've really held on to.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you I believe you know so much about about our history as a region, as a population.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we really did believe that men should be the ones going out there and finding,
Yeah, and
the
that is a
money
culture
and
that is still
and
there
providing.
actually.
So I feel like in urban areas, people that mindset has changed,
Mm-hmm.
has improved. It's like now, bring what you can, let me bring what I can, let's figure this thing out. But in rural areas, you still find that it's like the woman takes care of the household, and then the man goes out there
Mm-hmm.
and finds the money. But this is very interesting, because now how do we have to explain Tanzania's situation?
They're the next East
How
African
can, yeah,
giants.
because I don't agree to that.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I know there's a lot of analytics here and there, people saying,
People
oh, da, da,
suspecting,
da,
people
da. Yeah,
foreseeing,
it's going to
telling the
be.
future and
I
everything.
don't know if I see it in that angle. But first of all, let's address this, because I really want to know,
Mm-hmm.
why are women in the urban areas in Tanzania more unemployed as compared to women in the rural areas? Because I can understand the one for women in the rural areas, because I think the misconception is still, we're still holding. It's not really a misconception, rather it's just it was a cultural thing that we have not yet really let go. But how do we have to explain the women in the urban areas? Because the mindset is
Um,
that those in the urban areas, the situation has changed. Even for the men, they're like, no, 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 I'm not going to be the only one providing. Let's split all these
let's
responsibilities. Yeah.
let me ask you, what do you mean by unemployment in this case? Because someone could be an influencer,
Mm.
social media, Instagram influencer. Are they unemployed?
They're self-employed, but I'm
They're
talking about
self-employed
unemployment.
completely. They have no source of income.
Mm.
I can't answer
Statistics, I
that.
can't argue with numbers.
Let's
Numbers
ask
don't
them.
numbers don't
And
lie.
yeah, because let us know, why do you think Tanzania
Please
is
engage
far?
us.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
let us know. Put down a comment. Let us know on our social media platforms. Speak Up Africa, Africa with a K, on all social media platforms. Let us know, why do you think Tanzania is so far ahead? Because that is so developed. That
Far,
is the
do you mean far
attitude.
ahead or do you mean far behind?
Far ahead. They are far ahead. If the women are
Mm.
actually employed,
Mm.
wait, this the fact that the president is
No, 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 no,
female.
no, no. I didn't say the women are employed.
You said the ones in the urbans are not employed more.
When you, in comparison to the ones in the rural
Generally
areas,
speaking,
the women in the urban areas are unemployed in comparison to the
generally
ones.
speaking,
That doesn't
without
that
the
does not
comparison
involve the
between the urban
men.
and the rural,
Mm.
the
Rural, yeah.
are the women employed?
No, I'm saying men out of the equation. The equation.
Mm-hmm.
The women in the rural areas are much more employed as
Mm-hmm.
compared to the women, or have a source of income as compared to the women in the urban areas.
So then tell
And I
us, why
can't
is
just seem
that?
to deconstruct this. I can't see the why,
I also can't see the
and the
why.
how. That's what I
I also
don't
can't see
see.
the why.
Yeah.
I get them not being employed when they're in the country.
Hmm.
I don't see why
Because I
when you're
like
in
to. I
town.
just want to convince myself is because the families are still believing the man needs to be the one going out there and getting whatever it is we're going to put on this table, how we're going to pay these bills. But then when it comes to the women to the situations in the urban areas, I don't see the how and the why.
Well, Tanzanians, defend yourself. I can't help you here. You're
Mhm.
alone. I have tried.
Numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie.
You were talking about Tanzania being the next largest economy in East Africa. I want to
Do
hear
you
that.
see that future?
I don't. This is a projection, so it's not the situation as it is. But I feel like because at the moment it's still Kenya, and I feel like we are headed on the right track, and in the region, I don't see the how. I don't see the how. Not that they can't, but
You
this
don't see what's making
projection.
them
Yeah,
look.
I don't see what it is.
Let's look at it from this the value of the shilling,
Yeah.
the Tanzanian shilling, the Ugandan shilling, the Kenyan shilling.
Mm.
Right now, the Kenyan shilling stands at I think 120 shillings averagely
Against the dollar, yeah.
against the dollar. Yes, the Tanzanian one is at I think 2,300 and
And something.
something. 2,300 and something.
Yeah.
And then now we have like the Ugandan word. Well,
Mm.
it's 3,000.
Mhm.
900 or 700 and so
Yeah.
it's a whole figure.
Yeah.
So if we look at it from that perspective, we were using the dollar as our balance
Yeah.
sheet.
No, first of all, I just mean as a region, our money is losing value by
It
the day,
is
every day,
significantly and fast.
significantly. Because even Kenya, I mean, fine, it's 120, but
It
where
it
were
could be,
we 5 years ago?
yeah.
And it's just 5 years. That's half a decade. How did we get here? You know?
So how many decades to go before it can actually get to where
To get
Tanzania
it.
and Uganda is? Oh, I
Mm.
pray that it doesn't get there.
Yeah.
But you see, essentially, when you look at it, regionally, we are not doing so well
We're
against the
not.
dollar. We are not doing so well. But when we talk about Tanzania becoming there, they have a long way to go, but
Mhm.
they are getting there. They're
Mm.
getting there.
Because they have political stability.
That is the thing I wanted to get.
Mm.
Every 5 years, there's always the issue of people dipping their pockets into the treasury to get money for campaigns and things like that in Kenya.
Mm.
And they in also Uganda has issues with elections. Every single time they have an election, there's a lot of monetary issues that come along. But you see, Tanzania has, in comparison to the other two countries, has had somewhat close to a smooth transition in the presidency and in the general elections.
Is it smooth, or is it is there something we don't know?
Somewhat.
Is
You never
it
know.
really smooth, or is
Yeah.
it something there's something we don't know? I mean, as a country, when it comes to, Kenya and Uganda, as countries, we need to do better.
Yeah, we do. We
With
do.
every electioneering period, and every,
Mhm.
after elections, because
Mhm.
then it's always like we're going back to the drawing board, we're going back to zero. I mean, I can't say for a fact that Tanzania has it figured out,
Yeah.
but they are at a better position when you're talking about a smooth transition.
Mhm.
But think about it. When did they last have elections as a country?
But I don't know. When did
Okay.
Tanzanians last
Okay.
people, Tanzania, help me. When did they last have elections?
Is it 2018 or 19? It's about there.
Look at me. I have no idea.
It's about there. It was before COVID, though.
Just, you
Yeah.
see,
No, but all the same, my point was, you see, the late Magufuli, just he was getting into his second term, right? And before that, he got his first term. So I think it's a bit unfair to compare it to Kenya, because he was getting into his second term. And if you look at Kenya, this was he was a president ending his term.
Mhm.
What I think is we have a problem after 10 years.
After 10 years,
Yes, after
necessarily
when
not
we
after every
when,
5.
yeah, when someone is done. And this is not just a national problem. This is a problem that different institutions face every time someone is going,
Yeah,
leaving.
yeah.
Like,
They are
you can't get another term. You're leaving, you're leaving, you're leaving. Do you know you're not accountable for the new term? Or
You're not.
yeah. You're accountable to up until where yours ended.
Yeah.
Do you see?
You
So
see.
when someone else is starting, they also don't have the information of what was happening previously.
Yeah.
So then that's why it's maybe not as smooth as it should be. But when it is you who is getting into power again, because look at Kenya. Now there's a new president, right?
Mhm.
And he said, "Oh my God, I will be there's no money. Da, 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 da. They've made it hard for me to take over." But that problem was not there in 2017,
Mhm.
because the then
president who
president
was
was getting a
there
second
was,
term.
yeah.
He had the information of what was happening before.
Yeah.
He knew what he was dealing with.
He
knew
was still the same person,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah. But now it's not the same. He's not the same person, and I feel like they might be comparing that against now.
Well, I beg to differ.
Mm.
Do you know Uganda has had a president for all of these
30
years?
what years? Is it
And yeah.
a
So he has
36-year-old
had
in
all the
Uganda?
transitions. He has had all the transitions. He has been there for the first time, the second time. I don't know how many times they have been, because I even don't know. Like, he has
Let me
been
tell
there
you
since-
something interesting. A 36-year-old in Uganda, that's more than 10 years of my life from what I am now. A 36-year-old in Uganda has never seen an
Another
inauguration
president.
of a new president, of a different president.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if the status, if the new president and the shifting from one governance to another would be the problem, then Uganda would have been flourishing by now. But did you hear their value against the dollar?
You are
It is
making a point.
3,000. I need to emphasize that it is 3,000. That is pretty high.
Mm.
As Uganda as a country, we really need to do better. We need to do better because how if that is the problem, that is the biggest problem. Then
Mhm. No, but do you know? I think sustainability is what is the problem.
yeah,
Yeah, sustainability is a problem. You can get to the top, and then can you sustain yourself there?
but have they ever been to
Can
the
you
top?
even our economy as it is now, as a region, can we sustain it, or will we go lower?
Will we go there? We have
Yeah.
worked so hard to get here, even though we are really still the jobless economies. I think we really need to pull up our socks and go further and improve all
Mm.
of those things.
And we're an educated region. We really are.
Yeah, we have the skill
We,
sets.
we we grew up believing I
You
must go to
need
school and get
gas.
some papers. So people did go to school and got papers.
They
So
do, and they're still going to
we're
school and
not
getting
dumb. We're not
papers.
illiterate. So
Yeah, we really need
it's
to. We need to.
our
That
situation is
aggressiveness
very
you were talking about with
interesting.
the youth
But
needs to be there.
yeah, but how do you think the youth will take matters into their hands and make and grow our economy as a region? Maybe even if it's nationally in the different countries, but as a region, what role do you think the youth have to play?
Entrepreneurship. The
Mm-hmm.
private sector is the big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Leave the government. We have been pointing fingers at the government every other
Because we do
time.
also have SMEs.
Yes. So here's the thing though. People do not have the information that they need. Like for instance, I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the Uwezo Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not very many people know that if you start up a chama, get together and actually get the kind of knowledge that you need, you would be able to apply for the Uwezo Fund. They just sit down and be like, oh, the Uwezo Fund is for, women, chama.
I don't know about that.
See, you didn't know about that. The thing is, the youth do not actually have the right kind of information. On our workshop that we had with Speak Up Africa,
Mm.
we were talking about what do the youths know and what do they not know about participation in governance,
Governance.
government projects and things like that.
Mhm.
Do not know. Yes,
Mm.
of course, the participation structures are not. They're not structured in a way that favors the youth necessarily,
Mm.
but they also, they're there. So
Mm.
it's for you to actually stand up and participate. Let me ask you
Do
this,
you see what I was
Anyona.
telling you about aggressiveness?
Yeah, this
We're not an aggressive
we are not an
population as
aggressive
such.
population. Given the opportunity, we are not that
No,
aggressive.
no one is going to give you anything in life. You have to take it.
You
You
have
have to
to you have
grab
to
it.
look
You have
for
to
it.
you have to make it a point to go for things. No one is going to give you anything, and especially just like that. You see, if I know you have interest, then I'm going to give you. But if I don't see any form of interest,
To the youth. Oh, we need to go actually there
look for
and look for that
information.
information. Because for the last 1 week, I have been learning a lot of things like the duties of the National Youth
Mm.
Council. I didn't know. I
Mhm.
didn't know. I didn't know that. I thought it was just the NYC, and
You're a step ahead. Now you're better. Now you know.
now we know. Now we know, and that is the most important thing. We need to actually get this information, and as the youths, we need to ask for this information. We actually need to have these conversations. We need to sit down and speak up. Right? We need to sit
Yeah.
down and actually speak it up. Say, I don't know about this. Tell
Mhm.
me, and get us on our platforms. Speak Up Africa. It's Africa with a K. I keep laboring that part. Speak Up Africa. It's Africa with a K.
Yeah.
Let us know what are some of the issues that you're actually facing. How do you think we can actually go about the jobless economies? What are your views on the discussion that we have had today?
Yeah. We really want to know.
We want to know. We want to know. Tell us, what do you think about the borrowing, the debt issue? What do you think about the fact that this money that is being borrowed, the fact that this money that is being borrowed is being put into projects of infrastructure? Do you think that is the right way? If I was
No.
asked,
I mean, we're doing
we did
good
something.
when it comes to
Something.
infrastructure as a region. We're doing good. We're doing well.
We're starting to do well. I think. If I was asked, I think borrow money and put it into something that will give you money, and then use that for
Something that is
infrastructure.
profit based.
Yeah, an asset. I feel like most of the things that the money has been going to somewhat liabilities. If we would just bring back the sugar companies, the whatever companies that will actually bring money that will now be channeled into infrastructure, that will be a different story. But someone there might be of a different opinion.
Mhm.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, please let us know.
Let
We are
us know.
very interested. We'd like to engage you because these are conversations that need to be had, and you need to speak up so you can be heard. Yeah, we
All
like to
right.
say it's your turn to speak up.
Yeah, it's your time to speak up.
Yeah,
That's our a small logo. At Speak Up Africa, we aim to inform, engage, and empower.
yeah.
Give you the information that you need, engage in conversations so we can hear what you want to say, and then empower you to actually have the knowledge to make a difference.
Hmm.
Do we wind up at that point?
Yes, we should. But just remember to follow us on social media platforms so that we can engage you. It's easier to do it digitally because you always have your phone
You always
in
have
your
your
palm.
phone on
Yeah.
Twitter, on speakupafrica.net, Africa with a
Literally
K,
everywhere: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram,
everywhere, everywhere.
TikTok,
Okay.
everywhere.
So let us know what you think on this conversation and other conversations that we will post on our platforms. Thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Wangeshi Karemi.
My name is Anyona Bulungu.
And with that, we call it a podcast.
Yeah.